The alien fleet hung in silence above the blue planet, Earth. From the dark void of space, their ships looked like silver daggers pointed at a fragile world. Commander Zeltor of the Vrake Dominion stood inside the main observation deck, his 4 golden eyes watching the Earth rotate slowly. His people had conquered dozens of worlds, cold, lifeless rocks, or weak civilizations that surrendered before the first shot was fired. But this planet, something about it felt different. "Commander," said his officer, Zar. "Scans confirm no planetary defense grid. Their technology is primitive. Their weapons cannot even leave the atmosphere." Zeltor nodded, but his gaze stayed fixed on the swirling clouds below. "Then why," he said quietly, "do I feel uneasy?" The Invasion Council had already decided. Earth was rich in water, minerals, and life, perfect for colonization. The humans, small and emotional creatures, would be easy to crush. Yet before giving the order to attack, the commander wanted to understand his enemy. He ordered a full data extraction from Earth's global networks, history, communication, science, and war records. Within hours, trillions of human files filled their systems. Videos, books, broadcasts, and images from thousands of years of human history appeared on the command screens. Zar laughed as he skimmed through it. "Look at them, Commander. They fight each other over skin color, land, and beliefs. They destroy their own planet. They're not even united. Conquering them will be easy." But Zeltor wasn't smiling. He watched in silence as the screens displayed footage from human wars, ancient armies charging with swords, tanks rolling through smoke, mushroom clouds rising over cities. He saw humans digging trenches in the mud, dying for flags and ideas. Then he saw them rebuild, again and again. No matter how many times they fell, they stood back up. He leaned closer to one video, grainy footage of human soldiers storming a beach under heavy fire. "Pause," he ordered. The image froze on a man crawling through sand, blood staining his uniform, yet his eyes burned with something fierce, something Zeltor couldn't name. "What drives them?" he whispered. "Survival," Zar replied. "Desperation." "No," said Zeltor. "This is not desperation. This is defiance." The commander ordered more samples. The AI compiled scenes of human endurance, the explorers who walked across deserts, the scientists who cured deadly diseases, the astronauts who stepped on the moon despite impossible odds. Zeltor saw humans painting, singing, building, and dreaming even in the darkest times. He watched them face extinction and still fight with everything they had. Zar frowned. "They are dangerous to themselves, yes. But not to us. Their weapons are primitive. Their armies are small. Why hesitate?" Zeltor turned to him slowly. "Do you know what these creatures call themselves when they fight impossible wars?" Zar shook his head. "They call it human spirit." He replayed a clip of a human commander shouting through chaos, "Hold the line." Soldiers obeyed without question, running toward fire instead of away. "They face death as if it means nothing," Zeltor murmured. "They fight when logic says surrender." The commander's hand tightened around the console. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something close to fear. "If we attack them and fail to destroy every last one," he said, "they will rise again." "They always do." Zar scoffed. "You overestimate them, Commander. They are emotional animals. Their unity is fragile. Break it, and they'll destroy themselves." "Perhaps," Zeltor said. "But every empire that underestimated them has fallen." He ordered the ship's AI to run a simulation, Operation Earthfall. The model played across the screen, alien ships descending, cities burning, humans fighting back. At first, the Vrake dominated. Then, slowly, the tide turned. Small human groups learned, adapted, copied alien weapons, and began counterattacking. The simulation ended in chaos, Earth in ruins, but the Vrake fleet destroyed too. Zeltor stood in silence. The AI displayed one final note, projected human retaliation likelihood, 100%. For a moment, the command deck was quiet. Then, far below them, a blue light shimmered, the aurora dancing across the pole. Zeltor watched it, lost in thought. "Commander," Zar said again. "Shall I transmit the order to begin invasion?" Zeltor closed his eyes. He remembered one human quote he had seen in the data, spoken after a terrible war. "We will fight on the beaches, we will fight in the fields, we will never surrender." He opened his eyes. "No," he said softly. "Not yet. I want to understand them more. I want to see what kind of species keeps fighting after destroying itself 1,000 times." The alien fleet held position in orbit, their weapons silent. On Earth, no one knew they were being watched. But above, in the cold void, Commander Zeltor began to realize a terrifying truth. The humans were not weak. They were something else entirely. Something that could not be conquered. And deep inside, he felt it for the first time. Fear. Commander Zeltor stood before the holographic map of Earth, lines of data glowing around him. The Vrake ships drifted silently in orbit, hidden beyond human detection. He had postponed the invasion, but the High Council of the Dominion was growing impatient. Every hour, they sent encrypted messages demanding results. "Commander," said Zar, stepping closer. "The Council requests an explanation for your delay. They say Earth is defenseless. The resources are valuable. Why do we wait?" Zeltor's eyes flickered toward the glowing planet. "Because I want to understand them. We destroy what we fear, Zar. But what if fear is the reason they have survived this long?" The commander ordered a covert mission. Small observation drones, cloaked and invisible, descended through the clouds. They scattered across continents, recording everything. Cities full of noise, wars, peace, laughter, and tears. The humans were chaotic, unpredictable, yet alive in ways no other species had ever been. One drone followed a group of human soldiers training in a desert. The men and women shouted, ran, carried heavy loads under the burning sun. Their bodies broke, but they kept going. When one of them fell, others lifted them back up. The drone recorded it all and transmitted it to the Vrake ship. "They are preparing for something," Zar said, watching the footage. "War, perhaps." "They are always preparing," Zeltor replied. "Even in peace, they imagine conflict. Even when dying, they plan how to live again." Another drone flew over a hospital where doctors worked without rest. A human child was dying. The machines beeped. The doctors refused to give up. They fought for hours until finally, the heart monitor steadied. The child lived. Zeltor stared at the screen. "They fight death itself," he said. Zar's tone sharpened. "Commander, they are not gods. They are flesh and fear. Their will means nothing against plasma cannons and orbital fire." But Zeltor shook his head. "You don't understand. Look closer." He zoomed in on the faces, nurses crying, parents hugging, strangers smiling. This emotion, this connection, it makes them stronger than logic, stronger than fear. Meanwhile, on Earth, strange signals began to appear. Radio telescopes detected faint patterns, unidentified frequencies echoing from orbit. Human scientists thought it was interference or maybe a satellite malfunction. None of them suspected the truth, the watchers above. One human scientist, Dr. Aisha Khan, stared at her monitor late at night. "That's odd," she whispered. "The signal repeats every 27 seconds, like someone's heartbeat." Zeltor watched her from above. The drone hovered unseen outside her window. "She suspects us," Zar warned. "Good," Zeltor said. "Let her. Let them know something greater watches them. I want to see how they react." Over the next few days, the humans began sending messages into space, simple greetings, coded in math and sound. The aliens listened. Some humans were afraid, others excited. Entire nations debated what to do. "They do not hide from the unknown," Zeltor murmured. "They reach for it." Zar crossed his arms. You admire them too much, Commander. They are reckless. Their curiosity will destroy them. Maybe, said Zeltor. But that same curiosity took them from caves to stars. Tell me, Zar, how many of our kind would dare look into the void and say, "We want to know what lives there"? The question hung in the air. Later that cycle, the High Council transmitted a final warning: conquer the planet, or return in disgrace. Zeltor stood before the massive viewing window, his reflection cold against the black of space. He had to choose, attack or disobey. He whispered, almost to himself, "If we strike now, we may win the planet. But if even one human survives..." He remembered the words of a human poet he had read in the data: "We are the species that fights even when the world ends." Zar looked uneasy. "Commander, what will you do?" Zeltor turned, his voice steady. "We watch longer. Learn more. If we are to conquer Earth, we must understand what makes them impossible to destroy." The command ship's engines dimmed. The Vrake fleet drifted quietly in the shadows of the moon. Below them, the humans looked up at the night sky, never realizing that the stars were watching back. But deep in Zeltor's mind, a question began to form. What if the Vrake were not the hunters, but the ones being studied? Days turned into weeks as the alien fleet remained hidden behind the moon. Commander Zeltor's decision to delay the invasion spread across the Vrake dominion like wildfire. The High Council called it cowardice. The soldiers whispered that their commander had gone soft. But Zeltor didn't care. He had seen something in the humans that no one else understood, something that haunted him every time he closed his eyes. Still, he knew he couldn't wait forever. To calm the Council's fury and prove his plan had value, he proposed a test. "We will not invade the entire planet," he told Zar. "We will target one small region. Observe how the humans respond." Zar raised a brow ridge. "A partial strike?" "Yes," said Zeltor. "A controlled experiment. If they collapse quickly, the Council will have its proof. If not," he paused, "then perhaps the Council will finally understand my hesitation." That night, under the cover of darkness, a single Vrake cruiser entered Earth's atmosphere, cloaked from human radar. It released an invisible wave, an energy pulse designed to disable human technology in one area without killing anyone. The target, a small city on the coast. Within seconds, the city went dark. Power grids failed. Communication networks died. Airplanes fell silent. The humans below panicked as their world suddenly went quiet. From orbit, Zar observed. "See, Commander? They are terrified. They have no idea what's happening." But Zeltor watched closely. The humans didn't stay afraid for long. Firefighters began rescuing people trapped in elevators. Engineers rushed to fix the grid. Civilians helped one another on dark streets, sharing food, lighting candles, calming children. "They adapt fast," Zeltor muttered. Zar frowned. "That is only instinct." "Instinct doesn't repair power lines in a storm," Zeltor replied. He turned to the communications officer. "Send the second phase. Show them something." The cruiser projected a massive hologram above the darkened city, an image of the Vrake symbol glowing in the sky. It was meant to terrify, a warning that an unknown power had come. But instead of running, the humans began recording it with cameras and phones. Even without power, they used whatever batteries they had left. Some shouted, others prayed, but many just stared in awe. News spread across the world within hours. Strange lights in the sky. Possible alien contact. "They are not hiding," Zar said, almost in disbelief. "They are celebrating." "Not celebrating," said Zeltor. "They are trying to understand." In the days that followed, scientists, soldiers, and governments all responded. Nations that were enemies before began to talk. Leaders shared data. For the first time in years, humans worked together, united by fear, but also by curiosity. "They are uniting," Zar said quietly. "Because of us." Zeltor nodded. Exactly. We tried to break them, and instead, we made them stronger. The commander walked to the viewport and looked down at Earth's glowing curve. Tell me, Zar, he said softly, how do you conquer a species that becomes more dangerous the more you scare them? Before Zar could answer, a new alert flashed on the control screen. One of the human space stations had turned its sensors toward them. Someone on Earth had detected a faint trace of the Vrake cloaking field. Impossible, Zar hissed. Their instruments are too primitive. Primitive, Zeltor repeated with a dark smile. And yet, they found us. On the human station, Dr. Aisha Khan, the same scientist who had noticed the strange heartbeat signal weeks before, was now staring at a new anomaly. It's there, she whispered to her colleague. Something's behind the moon. Something big. Zeltor watched her on the feed, and for a moment, their eyes seemed to meet through the screen. Two minds on opposite sides of the stars, both realizing the same truth. They're coming for us, Zar said nervously. No, said Zeltor. They're reaching for us. The High Council's final message arrived a few hours later. End the experiment. Begin full-scale invasion. Zar looked at his commander, waiting for the order. Commander, if we delay again, they will strip you of command. Zeltor turned slowly, his expression unreadable. Then let them. He walked toward the viewport and stared down at the planet that had changed everything. Prepare the message relay, he said. Zar blinked. A message? To whom? To the humans, said Zeltor. It's time they knew we exist. And with that, the Vrake warship powered up its long-range transmitters. A signal pulsed toward Earth, a simple phrase translated into hundreds of human languages. It said only this. We are watching. Do not be afraid. On Earth, the message was received by hundreds of stations simultaneously. The world stopped. Every news channel lit up, every screen flashed. For the first time in history, humanity knew they were not alone. And in the cold silence above, Zeltor whispered to himself, Now, let's see what the humans do next. The signal hit Earth like a thunderclap. Every radio, television, and satellite feed suddenly froze. The same voice, deep, calm, and otherworldly, spoke in every language humans had ever known. We are watching. Do not be afraid. For the first time in human history, the entire planet stood still. Cars stopped in the middle of highways. People ran out of their homes, staring up at the sky. Some screamed, others fell to their knees, and some simply whispered, It's real. Inside the International Space Research Center, Dr. Aisha Khan stared at her monitor, her heart pounding. The voice had carried a strange echo, like metal vibrating through space. It's them, she whispered. They're not from here. Her colleague, Professor Miller, turned pale. If they can broadcast to every system at once, their technology is far beyond ours. Across the world, governments went into lockdown. Fighter jets scrambled. Satellites aligned. Presidents, generals, and scientists gathered in hidden bunkers, trying to understand what they were dealing with. Some nations prepared for war. Others sent peaceful replies. But every human mind carried the same burning question. Who are they? Up above, aboard the Vrake flagship, Commander Zeltor watched it all unfold on the massive holographic display. Billions of human signals flickered back at him. Radio chatter, military communications, emotional broadcasts filled with fear, hope, and wonder. They are reacting exactly as expected, said Zar. Fear, confusion, chaos. Shall we begin the strike while they are divided? But Zeltor didn't answer immediately. His gaze moved from screen to screen, humans gathering together, scientists decoding the signal, children pointing at the stars. No, he said quietly. Not chaos. Look closer. Zar squinted. On several feeds, humans were holding up signs. Welcome to Earth. Others gathered in cities, waving at the sky, as if greeting unseen visitors. Musicians sang songs about unity. News anchors spoke not with fear, but with awe. They're trying to communicate with us, Zeltor said. Even after hearing a voice from the void, they don't hide. They reach out. Zar growled. It's foolish. They don't know what we can do. Exactly, said Zeltor. And yet they step forward anyway. The commander turned to the observation window, where the blue planet shimmered beneath a thin veil of clouds. Fear would have broken most species, he said. But humans, they turn fear into courage. The High Council's hologram appeared beside him, towering and cold. Commander Zeltor, the central figure said, voice echoing with authority. You defy us again. The invasion must proceed immediately. Zeltor bowed slightly but did not lower his gaze. With respect, Counselor, I advise against it. Every test, every observation, shows the same pattern. These humans are unpredictable. If we strike, they will resist beyond logic. They will destroy themselves just to take us with them. The counselor's eyes flashed. Then let them. A dying enemy cannot win. Zeltor's voice grew sharper. You underestimate them. They faced extinction countless times, ice ages, plagues, nuclear wars, and every time, they rise stronger. If we burn their world, we will awaken something we cannot control. Enough. The counselor snapped. You have lost perspective. Prepare your fleet for assault. The hologram vanished. Zar exhaled. That was dangerous, Commander. I know, Zeltor said. But they needed to hear it. He walked toward the command console. Begin a deep scan of human military patterns. Find out how they prepare for war, not their weapons, but their minds. Zar nodded and activated the scan. Within minutes, thousands of images appeared. Soldiers training, civilians volunteering, engineers designing defense systems overnight. They are organizing already, Zar said. Their fear has turned into movement. Exactly, Zeltor replied. They will not wait for us to strike. They will come looking. And they did. Just 2 days after the alien message, the United Nations held an emergency meeting. The world's leaders agreed on something unseen in centuries: global cooperation. They formed Project Sentinel, a secret alliance to locate and communicate with the unknown visitors. Dr. Aisha Khan was among the first recruited. She stood in front of a group of generals, scientists, and diplomats. Whoever sent that message is intelligent, organized, and extremely advanced, she said. We can't fight them, not yet. But we can show them we are not afraid. Some disagreed. If they can disable our systems, they can destroy us. We must prepare weapons. Aisha looked around the table. If they wanted to destroy us, we'd already be gone. Back in orbit, Zeltor's crew monitored every broadcast. They're preparing defenses, Zar said. They will attack if provoked. They won't attack, said Zeltor. Not yet. They are too curious. But once they learn more about us, he turned to face the planet, his eyes glowing softly. They will realize the truth. Zar frowned. What truth? That we are not gods, said Zeltor. We are only soldiers. And if they learn that, he paused, his voice dropping low, they will stop fearing us. And when fear dies, that's when humans become truly dangerous. The stars shimmered outside the window. Down below, on the surface, humanity stood at the edge of discovery and danger, united, alert, and staring into the darkness of space. And for the first time since the Vrake arrived, Commander Zeltor wasn't sure who would make the first move. Night fell across Earth, but no one slept. The message, "We are watching. Do not be afraid," echoed through every screen and speaker on the planet. The world had changed. Humanity was no longer alone. In deserts, on rooftops, in forests, and in frozen fields, people looked up, searching for the watchers. Every telescope turned toward the stars. Scientists worked without rest, decoding strange frequencies now pulsing across the atmosphere, quiet, rhythmic, deliberate. At the International Space Research Center, Dr. Aisha Khan rubbed her tired eyes as new data poured in. There it is again, she murmured. The signal matches something behind the moon, exactly where the radar anomaly was. Professor Miller leaned closer. So they're really there. Aisha nodded. And they're getting closer. On the other side of the solar system, aboard the Vrake flagship, Commander Zeltor stood before the observation deck. The humans had surprised him again. Instead of fear, he saw excitement, purpose, and unity. They're organizing, he said. It's only been 3 of their days. Zar, pacing behind him, hissed softly. Let them organize. It will make their destruction more efficient. The Council wants the invasion now. Zeltor turned sharply. No. We've underestimated species before, and it cost us entire fleets. The humans are different. Every time we push them, they adapt. He waved a hand and the main screen lit up, showing news broadcasts from Earth. Humans were building massive antenna arrays, trying to send messages into space. Entire nations had stopped fighting each other to focus on one goal: find out who is watching them. Look at them, Zeltor said softly. Do you see fear? Zar's eyes narrowed. I see desperation. I see determination, Zeltor replied. They fear nothing, not even the unknown. The commander gave a quiet order. Activate the shadow probes. Let's see how they respond when they finally meet one of us, indirectly. Moments later, a Vrake probe detached from the fleet and entered Earth's atmosphere. It was small, invisible, and silent, descending toward a remote desert where Aisha's research team had set up their equipment. At 3:12 a.m., the sensors began to shake. Is that thunder? A technician asked. No, Aisha whispered. Something's entering the atmosphere. A streak of light crossed the sky, landing miles away in the dunes. Without hesitation, Aisha grabbed her recording equipment. I'm going out there. Dr. Khan, it could be dangerous. Miller shouted. Exactly, she said, grabbing her flashlight. That's why I'm going. As her jeep raced across the sand, Zeltor watched from orbit, intrigued. She's coming toward it, he murmured. Alone. She is reckless, said Zar. She is brave, said Zeltor. That's the difference. Aisha's headlights flickered as she approached the crater. Steam rose from the sand. At the center lay a small metallic sphere, perfectly round and still glowing faintly blue. She stepped closer, her heart pounding. If you're watching, she whispered, then you already know who I am. The sphere emitted a faint hum. Then, lines of light appeared on its surface, forming symbols, unfamiliar, yet strangely graceful. Aisha reached out and touched it gently. The moment her fingers made contact, her headset filled with static, then a voice. Calm, echoing, not human. You are not afraid. Aisha froze. No, she whispered. Should I be? Most would run. Maybe, she said softly, but we've always wanted to know who's out there. Now you're here. We won't hide. From orbit, Zeltor listened in silence. His chest tightened. The probe's signal streamed directly into the ship, replaying her every word. Zar's voice trembled. Commander, she's talking to us. Shall I order her captured? We could learn from her. No, Zeltor said firmly. She's already teaching us. He turned to his crew. End the test. Retrieve the probe before humans trace the signal. The probe lifted silently into the air and vanished, leaving Aisha alone in the desert, wind sweeping across her face. She whispered to the stars. We're not afraid. Back aboard the flagship, Zeltor stood alone. The words echoed in his mind like a challenge. We're not afraid. For the first time in his life, he felt something he couldn't explain. Not anger, not confusion, but a strange respect. Zar broke the silence. Commander, they will never stop. If we show them weakness, they will come for us next. Zeltor turned, his expression unreadable. Then maybe, he said quietly, they deserve the stars more than we do. He walked to the viewing window, staring down at the glowing blue planet below. "Prepare a transmission," he said. "Not a warning. A question." Zar frowned. "A question? To them?" Zell-Tor nodded. "I want to know what drives a fragile species to defy the universe itself." As the ship's transmitters charged, a faint pulse of light escaped into the void, carrying a simple message to Earth. Not a threat, but curiosity. "Why do you fight when fear should make you kneel?" And as the message reached Earth, humanity stood ready, no longer waiting to be conquered, but ready to answer. Somewhere in the silence between the stars, a warship commander realized something no alien ever had before. Humans were not prey. They were a warning. The alien transmission reached Earth at dawn. It came as a single line of text and a voice that seemed to echo from the edge of the universe. "Why do you fight when fear should make you kneel?" Every device on the planet played the same message at once. Phones, radios, TVs, even digital billboards. For a moment, humanity went silent again. Then, chaos. Governments scrambled for answers. Some feared it was a trick before an attack. Others saw it as a test, a chance to prove that humanity could face the unknown without fear. At the International Space Research Center, Dr. Aisha Khan stood before a wall of screens. Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. "They're not attacking," she said. "They're asking. They want to understand us." Professor Miller shook his head. "Understand us? They have warships larger than cities, and we're the ones being studied." Aisha looked at him. "Maybe. But what if this question isn't a threat, it's respect?" Across the globe, leaders argued over how to respond. Should they stay silent? Send peace? Or prepare for war? But before the politicians could agree, humanity itself began to answer. Soldiers, teachers, artists and children, all sent their own replies online, in videos and messages that spread faster than light. They spoke in hundreds of languages but carried one meaning. Because fear never stopped us before. A firefighter in New York recorded a message beside the wreck of a burning building. "We fight because saving one life is worth risking our own." A nurse in Tokyo sent a simple reply, "We fight because we care." A pilot in France said, "We fight because every sunrise is worth protecting." And a child in Kenya held up a handwritten sign, "Because we want to see tomorrow." From orbit, the Vrake fleet watched in silence as the messages flooded their systems. Billions of human voices filled the command deck, merging into a single, defiant roar. Zar stepped back, unsettled. "They're answering us with emotion. With words, not weapons." Zell-Tor's golden eyes shimmered as he watched the endless stream of human faces. "They fight for meaning," he said softly. "Not for conquest. Not for domination. For each other." He turned to the tactical display. "Look how many of them are speaking at once. They do not share one voice, yet somehow, they all say the same thing." Zar growled. "And what is that, Commander?" Zell-Tor looked down at the blue planet, his reflection glowing in the glass. "That they will not kneel." Silence filled the bridge. Even the hum of the ship seemed to fade. Moments later, the High Council appeared as a towering hologram once again. "Commander Zell-Tor," the counselor said coldly. "You have delayed long enough. The humans are unarmed. Their emotional responses mean nothing. You are ordered to begin planetary bombardment." Zell-Tor didn't move. "Counselor, you are making a mistake. They will not surrender. If we strike now, we ignite a war that will never end." "They cannot reach us," the counselor snapped. "They have no ships, no weapons that can touch us." "Yet," said Zell-Tor. The counselor paused. "What? They have no ships yet." Zell-Tor's voice hardened. "But they will. Everything they fear, they learn to overcome. They see death as a challenge. If we destroy them, their survivors will chase us across the stars for centuries. That is what they do." Zar stepped forward cautiously. "Commander, the Council's orders are absolute. I know, Zeltor said quietly. And so is my decision. He turned to his crew. Deactivate the weapon systems. Power down all targeting arrays. We will not attack. Zar froze. That's treason. No, Zeltor said, looking out the window. That's survival. The counselor's voice thundered through the deck. You dare defy the Dominion? Zeltor stood tall. Yes. Because I've seen what happens when you try to enslave a species that refuses to break. They will burn their world just to take you with them. He ended the transmission with a single command, cut the link. The bridge went silent again, save for the soft hum of the engines. Zar stared at his commander. They will come for you. You'll be hunted, executed. Maybe, Zeltor said. But I'd rather face the wrath of the Dominion than the fury of humanity. Down on Earth, the alien signal went silent. No more messages. No more voices from the sky. For the first time since contact, the planet felt calm. Dr. Aisha Khan stood on the observatory roof, staring at the stars. They're still watching, she said quietly. But something's changed. She was right. Aboard the Vrake flagship, Commander Zeltor looked down at Earth one last time. End transmission logs, he said. Set course for deep orbit. We will not conquer them. We will remember them. Zar hesitated. And if they come for us one day? Zeltor smiled faintly. Then I will stand beside them. The engines ignited softly, and the great ship drifted away into the dark, leaving behind a planet that had just proven something no alien empire had ever believed possible. The smallest, most fragile species in the galaxy had made the most powerful army in the universe afraid. And far below, as dawn broke across the Earth, billions of humans looked up at the fading stars, no longer afraid, but ready for whatever came next. Months passed. The world had changed. There were no more alien messages, no new lights in the sky, no sign of attack, yet the memory of that encounter lingered in every human heart. The words, "Why do you fight when fear should make you kneel?" had become a symbol, printed on banners, whispered in schools, carved into monuments. But it wasn't fear that spread. It was resolve. Governments united under a single initiative, the Earth Defense and Exploration Coalition, EDEC. Nations that once pointed weapons at each other now shared resources, technology, and scientists. The impossible became a plan. Humanity would build its first interstellar fleet. Not to conquer, but to reach. Dr. Aisha Khan, now the director of the coalition, stood before the crowd at the newly built global launch facility. Behind her, the colossal shape of Project Dawnbreaker gleamed in the sunlight, a ship forged from alien fragments recovered from the first encounter. Its hull shimmered with hybrid metal, part human steel, part something that came from beyond. Aisha raised her voice. Once, we feared the stars. Now, we build toward them. We will not wait for the next threat to come, we will go to them. On our terms. For our future. The crowd erupted in cheers. Cameras broadcasted the speech to every corner of the Earth. For the first time in history, humanity wasn't running. They were preparing to answer back. In a distant nebula, hidden among the swirling gases, Commander Zeltor watched from his ship as human transmissions reached the outer colonies. Their signals, tiny, fragile, yet persistent, spread through space like fireflies in the dark. Zar entered the bridge, his face grim. The Dominion Council has issued your execution order. They say you've betrayed the Vrake Empire. I know, Zeltor said. I also know what fear looks like, Zar. The Council isn't angry. They're afraid. Afraid of humans? Afraid of what humans represent, Zeltor replied. They are chaos that learns. Weakness that adapts. They shouldn't have survived us, yet they did. And now they will rise. Zar looked toward the stars. What will you do? Zeltor turned to him, eyes glowing softly. What I've always done, observe, learn, and choose the side that deserves to live. He activated a holographic display, a network of human ships, satellites, and transmissions, slowly expanding from Earth like ripples in water. They are not ready for war, but one day, they will be. And when that day comes, I want to stand where the future begins, not where empires die. Back on Earth, Project Dawnbreaker launched. Its engines roared with a light that pierced the sky. Billions watched as it ascended through the clouds, carrying humanity's first interstellar crew. In the command seat, Captain Rafael Ortiz stared at the stars ahead. Navigation, set our course for deep space, he said. Destination, the source of the Vrake transmission. Aisha's voice came through the comms from Mission Control. Captain, once you cross that threshold, there's no coming back soon. You'll be the first humans beyond the solar system. Ortiz smiled. Then we'll make sure they remember the first humans who looked back. The ship accelerated. Space stretched around them. The stars bent into lines of light. And then, silence. They were gone. Far beyond the Milky Way, the Vrake Dominion detected the warp signature. Panic rippled through the command networks. Humans, primitive, emotional, chaotic, had just done the impossible. They had found the stars. One counselor whispered in disbelief. They learned faster than expected. Another muttered, they are not ready for what awaits. But the eldest among them, his voice trembling, said something the others would never forget. They are never ready. And that is why they always win. Back on Earth, children pointed at the night sky, where a new light moved among the stars, a beacon of human defiance and wonder. Dr. Aisha Khan stood alone on the observatory roof, the same place she had watched the Vrake ship months ago. She whispered to herself, they asked us why we fight. Maybe one day, we'll show them, it was never about winning. She looked up. The Dawnbreaker shone faintly against the heavens, a spark among millions of stars. It was about living.